the agenda item, but I'm sure she'll be back in a moment. So, welcome to our extraordinary meeting of Council to adopt the annual plan 2020-21 and set the rates for 2020-21. We have no apologies, no one's snuck off in the break, so that's a bonus. Any conflicts of interest? I would hope not. No, very good. And we have no public forum. So, of course, we are here today to belatedly adopt our annual plan due to taking some additional time to consider and bring in the impact of COVID-19 on our upcoming year, which was very beneficial to be able to do that because, of course, with our revenue only being 51% rate based, we do have a number of other activity areas that are being impacted by the COVID pandemic. So having some additional time to be able to consider that on the impact of our budgets and plan accordingly has been very, very, very worthwhile. And we have acknowledged it before, but I will say it again, the work that's been done by staff on this to essentially rework our annual plan 3 times now has been much appreciated, and I would like to acknowledge and thank you all very much for that, and the councillors for the many, many hours that we have spent in workshops and of course our annual plan hearing that we had earlier this month as well, so thank you for all your efforts. I would invite Adele Henderson up to probably more answer any questions if there are any. I think we're all very well versed with our annual plan. We have, as I said earlier, spent many, many hours on this, but I will open up, yes, for questions. Councillor Taylor.
I just want to reaffirm that I declared a conflict of interest with
Sport Hawke's Bay. Yes.
So any voting that I do today will not be in relation to funding requests by Sport Hawke's Bay.
Thank you. And the officer's recommendation, which is of course in front of you all, is that to note that this has been developed, the plan has been developed in accordance with the requirement of the Local Government Act. It has been considered by the Audit and Risk Committee, and that they are comfortable with the approach taken by Council in the adoption of this plan. To adopt the annual plan as attached in Appendix B, delegate responsibility to the Chief Financial Officer to approve any final edits required to the annual plan and supporting information in order to finalise the documents for uploading online and physical distribution. And lastly, to direct officers to comply with Section 95(7) of the Local Government Act 2002 and make the annual plan publicly available. So Adele, did you have anything you wanted to say before I open for questions?
Yeah, through the mayor, I think you probably covered off, most of the details. This has been quite a detailed plan to come to a second annual plan, if you like, in noting what the impacts of COVID are, which is obviously still ongoing for the community. And I think where the council have landed and the community have endorsed that landing is that we go with the 4.8% rates increase for the 2020-21 year.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from councillors? Councillor Bogue.
Yes, I'd also like to thank the staff for all the work that went into this plan, and of course it was deferred because of COVID. I'd also like to thank the community for the amazing input that we had with written submissions as well as at the hearings. But I did have a question, Adele, about we've deferred the time for this annual plan, and is that going to affect the long-term plan planning stages next year, please?
Through the mayor, so we've actually had some guidance that's come through from central government and the Society of Local Government Managers. The expectation is that the long-term plan timing will not be impacted. What it might mean is that we have to consider multiple scenarios around the impacts of COVID on our long-term planning. So we might have our preferred option, but we'll need to work with the community and let them know there may be a range. And in the instance where our year one plans don't avail for reasons that we weren't expecting, we may have to consider a long-term plan amendment on the back of that as well. So there is some unknowns, but we'll be working, obviously doesn't impact this year. This year is now going to be locked down today, but working on the long-term plan, there is some guidance around how we might manage that. But at the moment, no changes in the long-term plan timing.
Councillor Tapani? Do you want to save that till after we have a mover and seconder? Thank you. If there's no further questions, I'd ask for a mover and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Crown, and seconded by Councillor Taylor. Did you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Crown? Great.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to commend the staff as well. It has been as first-term councillor, it's been quite an experience going through the process and getting a really great understanding for the amount of work that goes in and just the level of consideration that's given. A couple of key points that I wanted to make. There is a significant adjustment to the capital expenditure, which I think shows a willingness to really take into consideration the financial impacts of any kind of rates rise for our community. And I also wanted to draw attention to the positive comments that came through from our submitters with the re-establishment of the public hearings. I think that they really truly appreciate that, and it gives us all a deeper insight into what our community are thinking and feeling at this time. So yeah, I'm more than happy to move that we accept this annual report, or annual plan.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor?
So I'd just like to reiterate the collaborative approach to this annual plan and confirm I know that for many of the first-time councillors it was a very interesting process for them to go through, and you'll really enjoy the long-term plan because that, you know, this was for 1 year, the next one's for 3, and I'd just like to, you know, congratulate everybody, the elected members, the officers of the council and the community for assisting and bringing this plan together in quite difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tapani, you wish to speak to them?
If I might, just to carry on from Councillor Crown and Councillor Taylor's corridor, I just want to also acknowledge our senior leadership and this council. COVID introduced some really complex factors on top of our annual plan, and I'm conscious of the fact that we debated long and hard about a 0% increase for our residents, and we focused on the long-term impacts that would result upon our community and the double-figure increases that might represent in the future. So I mention this because that courage and that bravery was not shared across all councils across New Zealand, and I'm conscious that some councils are now constantly or actively engaged in a double-figure corridor for their next announcement as opposed to this one. So I just wanted to acknowledge our staff and this council for taking that long-term view and being cognizant of the financial impact on our residents given the difficult time we've had. And I'll just reiterate the comments from Councillor Taylor and Councillor Crown about the fantastic work that our staff have been able to do with the shifting timeframes, the shifting priorities, and then trying to get it all here today. So ngā mihi nunui ki a koutou katoa. Kia ora for your mahi.
Thank you, Councillor Tapani. We've had 3 councillors speak in support of the motion. Was there anyone wishing to speak against it? No? Very good. I will therefore put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. I almost feel like cheering.
It's definitely worth the cheer, thank you.
And moving on to our second agenda item, the resolution to set the rates for 2020-21. So really this is obviously just carrying on and formalising the agreed proposed rates increase of 4.8%, which Councillor Tapani has spoken very eloquently to already. So unless there was anyone that did have any burning unanswered questions, I will ask for a mover and seconder. I'm happy to move from the chair.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. I think it's all been said. You know, we debated the rates increase long and hard and considered all options and felt that this was the best outcome for our ratepayers, both this year and moving forward into the future. And as Councillor Tapani said, I think there's some other councils around the country that did opt to go for zero or much lower rates increases that are going to be having a very challenging time moving forward into the next few years, and that will transfer to their ratepayers if they end up with some rather staggering rates increases in the future. So I think we've made a good choice here. We worked through a very thorough process, and it's been the best result for our ratepayers now and moving forward into the future. So, Councillor Wright.
Only just to reiterate what everyone else has said, I think I've done a lot of these, as you can imagine, and one of the things that strikes me today is that the level of buy-in on this annual plan from this council, everyone sitting around this table, and the community shows that we've done a really good job, and congratulations to everybody.
Thank you. Did anyone else wish to speak to the motion? No. That being the case, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. And we now call the extraordinary council meeting to a close, as we have no public excluded items for this, and I would ask for a mover and seconder to move into our public excluded. Thank you. For our ordinary meeting of council, Councillor Mawson, thank you, and Deputy Mayor Brosnan. And I'll just give a moment for... Oh. Thank you, Pauline.